Carney defends paying 2 CEO appointees upwards of $577,000 a year. So let me get this straight. Mark Carney just hired 2 people who make more money than every single one of his cabinet ministers. We're talking over $500,000 each per year before bonuses. Yeah, you heard that right. Welcome to Canada Bulletin, where we break down the news that makes you go, wait, what? Let's dive in. Picture this. You're a cabinet minister. You wake up every day, deal with national crises, answer to millions of Canadians, get grilled in Parliament, and somehow survive on your ministerial salary. Then Mark Carney walks in with 2 people you've never met and casually mentions they're making $577,000 a year. That's $200,000 more than cabinet ministers make. How's that for a team-building exercise? So, who are these financial unicorns, and why are they worth more than the people running our country? Buckle up, because this story has layers like a parliamentary lasagna. Meet Douglas Guzman and Dawn Farrell. These aren't your average government appointees. We're talking serious corporate heavyweight champions here. Douglas Guzman, former big shot at Royal Bank of Canada and Goldman Sachs. You know, Goldman Sachs, the place where money goes to make more money. Then that money makes even more money. And suddenly someone owns 3 yachts. He's now running a brand new defense procurement office, which sounds boring until you realize he's making decisions about military equipment. We're talking jets, ships, and enough firepower to make Call of Duty jealous. Then there's Dawn Farrell. She's heading up the Major Projects Office, which is basically the government's way of saying, we need someone to review massive infrastructure projects without setting billions of dollars on fire. She's had experience in the energy sector, and now she's overseeing projects worth, and I quote, tens and tens of billions of dollars. Tens and tens of billions. That's not just government speak for a lot. That's like saying, we have a few problems during a zombie apocalypse. But here's where it gets spicy. Now, you might be thinking, okay, these sound like important jobs. Maybe they deserve that money. Hold that thought, because Pierre Poilievre has entered the chat, and he's brought receipts. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre took to social media this week to basically say, excuse me, about Guzman's appointment. And honestly, I get it. Here's the thing. When you appoint someone from Royal Bank of Canada and Goldman Sachs to a government position, people are going to have questions. These are institutions that make their money by, well, making money. They're not exactly known for their discount rates and community potluck dinners. The optics here are wild. You got a guy who made his career in private banking now making decisions about where taxpayer dollars go for defense. It's like hiring a wolf to guard the hen house, except the wolf has an MBA and a really nice suit. And the salary? $577,000 before performance pay. Let me put that in perspective. The average Canadian makes about $60,000 a year. That means Guzman and Farrell are making nearly 10 times what the average person makes. Cabinet ministers make around $280,000. These 2 are making double that. For context, the Prime Minister himself makes around $379,000. So these 2 appointees are out earning the boss by almost $200,000. Imagine showing up to your new job and casually making more than your CEO. That's a power move I didn't even know existed. But wait, before we sharpen our pitchforks and storm Parliament Hill, Carney actually has a defense for this. And surprisingly, it's not terrible. Mark Carney's argument is pretty straightforward. These people have enormous responsibilities. And he's not wrong. Douglas Guzman isn't just ordering office supplies. He's making major military procurement decisions. We're talking about the kind of purchases where 1 decimal point in the wrong place could mean accidentally buying 100 fighter jets instead of 10. Or worse, buying jets that don't actually work. Looking at you, F-35 program. Dawn Farrell's job is equally massive. She's reviewing industrial development projects worth billions. The kind of projects that can make or break entire regions. 1 bad call could cost taxpayers more money than her entire salary times 100. Carney's logic is simple. If you want top-tier talent to handle billion-dollar decisions, you need to pay top-tier salaries. You can't expect someone who's used to corporate compensation packages to jump ship for government wages and a Tim Hortons gift card. It's the classic you get what you pay for argument. Except instead of buying a cheap toaster that breaks in 6 months, we're talking about national defense and infrastructure. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Sometimes expertise costs money. The real question is whether these specific people are worth that much money, and whether we're actually getting value for those $500,000 salaries. So where does this leave us? Well, like most things in politics, it's complicated, and also kind of hilarious, but mostly complicated. Here's what this controversy really reveals. We have a fundamental tension in government hiring. On one hand, we want lean, efficient government that doesn't waste taxpayer money on bloated salaries. On the other hand, we want competent people making important decisions. And competent people with decades of experience don't work for peanuts. The private sector figured this out ages ago. Pay well, get talent. But when government does it, it feels wrong because it's our money. We're not shareholders, we're citizens. We can't just sell our stock if we don't like how the companies run. The Poilievre critique taps into something real. Why should government executives make more than cabinet ministers? If the people we elected are worth $280,000, why are unelected appointees worth twice that? But Carney's defense also makes sense. Cabinet ministers aren't managing billion-dollar procurement deals. These specialized roles require specialized skills, and those skills command market rates. It's the classic government dilemma: be efficient or be effective, save money or get results. The answer is probably both, but good luck figuring out how to actually do that. So what's the verdict? Are these salaries justified, or is this government excess run wild? Honestly, it depends on what these two actually accomplish. If Douglas Guzman streamlines defense procurement and saves taxpayers billions, that $577,000 salary suddenly looks like a bargain. If Dawn Farrell's major projects office prevents cost overruns and keeps infrastructure projects on track, she'll have earned every penny. But if these offices become bureaucratic black holes that spend more time justifying their existence than actually doing anything, then yeah, this is going to look really bad in hindsight. The truth is, we won't know if this was money well spent for at least a year or two, maybe longer. That's the thing about government decisions. They age like wine, or milk. Really depends on the execution. One thing's for sure, Pierre Poilievre is watching. Canadians are watching. And those $577,000 salaries are going to be under a microscope. What do you think? Are these salaries justified, or is this government